Doctor, may I ask you a few questions?
Please be my guest.
Tell me what you know about Jean Dupre.
I'd rather not speak of him. Madame Dupre does not need to be agitated any further.
I take it you don't look very favorably upon him, then.
I'll just say this. If my wife had been attacked and left for dead, you can be sure I wouldn't leave her side.
What a gentleman. He doesn't even leave women who aren't his wife.
I see what you mean. Do you know where I might find him?
I only wish I did.
Those are all the questions I've got for now.
I hope I answered them adequately.
Hello again, Miss Montgomery. Mind answering a few more questions?
Hello, Mr. Fordham. Not at all.
Is there anything you can tell me about your stepfather, Jean?
He's a kind man. I don't really see him too often. He seemed rather upset at Mother's funeral, but I can't help but wonder if he feels the same way as I do about her death.
What do you mean?
Just that I get the distinct impression that he and Mother's marriage isn't as perfect as they'd like it to appear.
I'm starting to sense a trend here.
Your brother told me that Jean enjoys hunting. Do you know where his cabin is?
Yes, it's in Fenton Swamp. I went out there with him a few times, but I didn't really enjoy it. Frankly, the place is rather grotesque. All those stuffed trophies staring at you with their cold, dead eyes. Plants are much nicer to have around. Anyway, if you take the main road through the swamp about 1.5 miles, you'll come upon a small dirt path that goes northeast. Take that until you see a small cabin on the left. That's it.
Thank you for the information, Miss Montgomery. Do you know Guy Dumas?
Yes, he was one of our servants. He used to enjoy reading my books, as well as Andrew's.
When did you see him last?
Just last week. He came by to see me and asked to borrow some books.
Do you know where I might be able to find him?
Not really. I get the impression that he moves around frequently. But I can tell him you're looking for him next time I see him, if you like.
Please do. Although hopefully I'll be able to find him before then. Were you friends with Celine, the maid?
Yes, I was quite fond of Celine. She was so sweet and interesting to talk to. One day, she just left the house with no explanation. Mother said it was because she had found work elsewhere. I was terribly saddened. I wish I'd had the chance to say goodbye to her, at least. What's your interest in her?
Oh, I was just curious, that's all. No more questions for now.
Then if you don't mind, I have work to do.
Hello? Is anyone here?
Strange of Dupre to leave the door unlocked. Maybe it means he'll be returning soon. One of the guns is missing. Jean must be out using it currently.
Let's see if Jean has anything interesting in here.
Not very much, except a letter.
Who the hell are you? What are you doing in my cabin?
Jean Dupre, I presume?
Yes, that's right. Who are you?
Miles Fordham, private investigator. I'm looking into the attempted murder of your wife.
Oh, yes. Yes, of course. Forgive my rudeness, but you startled me.
Perfectly understandable, Mr. Dupre.
This is a man whose bark is most definitely worse than his bite.
Can we talk, Mr. Dupre?
I suppose so. Yes.
What can you tell me about Madame Dupre?
Oh, my dear wife, the past few days have been just awful for all of us.
Yes, I can imagine. How long have you been married?
For 7 wonderful years. Laura and I are just as much in love now as we were on the day we married.
Lord, does he actually expect anyone to believe that nonsense?
You'll pardon me for being so frank, Mr. Dupre, but why are you out hunting and not at your wife's side?
Excuse me? Who are you to lecture me on my marriage?
A fellow married man, that's who. Your wife has just suffered a very traumatic ordeal. Shouldn't you be at home caring for her?
But with all the confusion at the house with the police investigating and her being attended to by her doctor, I just needed to get away for a bit. Surely you can understand, Mr. Fordham.
There's something off about this guy, Miles. He's definitely hiding something. And for once, I don't think it's from his wife.
Do you know anything about the circumstances surrounding Madame Dupre's death?
Horrible. Simply horrible.
Do you have any idea why Mr. Martin might have attempted to kill her?
Mr. Martin? You mean the boys they arrested? Andrew said it's because Martin and his mother are witches who prey on the well-to-do. You only need to take one look at him to see his trouble. It's a shame they put him away so quickly. I'd have liked to teach him a lesson or two, believe you me.
Yeah, right. A lesson on how to cower in the corner, most likely.
I suppose it goes without saying that you enjoy hunting, Mr. Dupre?
Yes, I do. I consider myself something of an outdoorsman, you see. It's nice to be able to go out and get some fresh air after being sat at the bank all day.
What about your home life?
Truth be told, I'm not at home as often as I'd like to be. I've been trying to make more time, but something usually comes up. Business is business, after all.
Yeah, but what business are we talking about here exactly?
What can you tell me about your stepchildren?
Andrew and Juliet? I see a bright future ahead for both of them.
What's your relationship with them like?
It's fine. Why do you ask?
I got the distinct impression from both of them that they hardly ever see you.
Well, yes, I suppose that is true. We don't spend much time together. But they're both so busy with school, I don't want to get in their way. Not to mention my job keeps me away from home for considerable periods of time.
Excuses, excuses. I get the feeling Mr. Dupre avoids his family on purpose. But why?
Do you fear your wife, Mr. Dupre?
Do I... what?
The question's quite simple. Are you afraid of Madame Dupre?
Why in the ether would you think that?
I'd be afraid of someone who kept a bloody whip in my bedroom. Care to explain that?
You don't know her like I do. No one does. Well, no one aside from the servants, I suppose. She's cruel, Mr. Fordham. Crueler than anyone or anything I've ever seen.
Tell me more about Madame Dupre's cruelty.
She treats the servants like animals, Mr. Fordham. She would say the most vile, awful things to them. Things I would expect to hear on the Gascon docks, not from the lips of a grande dame. And the beatings. Oh, God. The screams I would hear from somewhere in the house. I never dared find out where.
Nobody else ever heard the screaming?
No. She was cunning. She would do it when no one else was around. Once she knew I had heard, she threatened me. Told me she would...
Yes?
She threatened to expose my secret, Mr. Fordham.
And what secret is that?
Our marriage is one of convenience. It's all for show. Laura has herself a well-to-do husband, and I am a normal man in the eyes of society.
I see. I suppose that would explain a few things.
Well, now, how was that not obvious to you? The soporific is really having a bad effect on you.
Don't worry, Mr. Dupre. Your secret's safe with me.
Thank you, Mr. Fordham.
Tell me what you know about Guy Dumas and Celine.
Celine had an accident.
What kind of accident?
Laura thought Celine had been stealing her silverware. She got a bit carried away with a beating and...
Dupre killed Celine?
Yes, she did. In order to keep it quiet, she had Celine placed in our family tomb.
I see. What about Guy?
I don't know. I never saw him again after that.
Well, this case has certainly taken a turn for the sinister.
Do you know anything about Madame Dupre trying to get Juliet taken out of her classes at the university?
Ah, yes. Laura didn't approve of her daughter's desire to further her education. So, she sent a letter to the university requesting Juliet's withdrawal. I didn't approve of her trying to meddle in Juliet's affairs. If she wants to study, she should be free to do so. I wrote them a letter myself, without Laura's knowledge, telling them to disregard the previous request for withdrawal.
That's very good of you.
Yes, well, I dislike seeing people being told what they can and can't do by others.
Yet, he seems perfectly willing to employ servants at his home. Well, I suppose we're all hypocrites in one way or another.
I'll be going now.
Au revoir, Mr. Vaudin.
Hello again, Miss Montgomery. Mind answering a few more questions?
Hello, Mr. Fordham. Not at all.
Did your mother try to get you withdrawn from the university?
As a matter of fact, she did. Just another one of the many ways she tried interfering with my life.
What happened, exactly?
Mother wrote the university requesting that I be withdrawn. I found out about it when the enrollment office contacted me. I couldn't believe it at first. I thought it was some sort of mistake, but then they showed me the letter.
I take it you were upset.
More than upset, Mr. Fordham. I was furious. I was trying to make a real life for myself. One that wasn't about dresses or debutante balls or fending off suitors. I'd been given the chance to make something of myself, and Mother was ready to bring it all crashing down, just because she didn't agree with it.
But in the end, you're still here.
Yes, Jean stepped in and fixed everything. He didn't have to do it, but it was very good of him. I'm afraid that was the beginning of the end of my relationship with Mother. We never really managed to fix things after that.
No more questions for now.
Then if you don't mind, I have work to do.
This must be what was going to be Madame Dupre's final resting place.
I don't see anything inside.
What, were you expecting a note from her attacker?
No, but I was hoping for some kind of clue at the very least. Celine, 1823 to 1844. Taken too soon. Rest ye with the angels.
Wait a minute. This is Celine, the maid. Somehow a piece of paper got wedged into the side of the vault. Carefully now. Got it! Nice work, Fordham. Now to see what this is.
Interesting.
Leaving notes for the dead. How very touching. Wonder if anyone has left me one at my grave.
Quiet, Bill. I need to think. We know this note is likely from Guy. Now we just need to figure out where to find him.
Is there anything on the other side of that piece of paper?
Bill, you're a genius.
I wouldn't give me all the credit just yet.
Let's see. A receipt for an extended stay at the Stun Arms. Does that sound familiar at all?
Vaguely. But I can't recall anything off the top of my head.
Looks like we'll have to do a bit more searching. Can we talk?
Go on, I'm listening.
I wanted to go over the case with you.
Okay, what have you got?
I found this note in the Chesterton tomb. I think it was left by the person who attacked Madame Dupre.
Nice work. Sounds like you're about ready to wrap things up.
I will be as soon as I find him. Take a look at the other side of it.
Part of a receipt for a hotel?
Yes, but the name is only partially visible at the bottom.
Stun Arms. The only hotel that comes to mind is the Boston Arms in Chumley.
Of course! I knew the name sounded familiar. There's stories I could tell you about that place. Not right now, of course.
You're helpful as always, Upton. Thank you.
Good luck, Fordham. I hope you find your suspect.
That's enough about the case for now.
Okay,
That's it, I think.
then you'd better get back to it.
Who is it?
I'm Miles Fordham, a private investigator. It's extremely important I speak with you, Mr. Dumas.
Private investigator. What do you want?
Just to talk. May I come in?
Yes, I suppose so.
I found your note in St. Denis Cemetery. Care to explain what it means?
How did you...
I'm a private investigator, Mr. Dumas. It's what I do. Now we can either do this the easy way or the hard way. It's up to you.
I left that note for Celine. I didn't think anyone would ever find it.
So it was you who attacked Madame Dupre?
Yes. Yes, it was me. I confess.
I can't remember the last time a suspect actually confessed. If only they were all like this.
But please, Mr. Fordham, you have to understand. The woman is evil. If only you knew what she did. Please, don't arrest me, Mr. Fordham. You have to know the truth about Madame Dupre.
Relax, Mr. Dumas. I'm not going to arrest you just yet. I'm perfectly willing to hear your side of the story. Now let's take this nice and slow. What can you tell me about Madame Dupre?
She seemed like a nice woman at first, but after working for her, I came to know how awful she truly was. When no one was around, she would beat me and some of the other servants for fun, say the most cruel things, call us horrible names.
Why didn't you just leave?
She threatened us, told us she would make it impossible for us to get work anywhere else. It's already difficult enough getting a job that doesn't force you to operate those awful machines. To be blacklisted by Madame Dupre would have been the final nail in the coffin.
How did you come to be employed by Madame Dupre?
I used to work in an iron factory in Chumley, but a few years ago, they brought in some steam machines to help production. One of the machines had a problem, and my friend Connor and I were assigned to fix it. We had no idea what we were doing, but we wanted to keep our jobs. I don't know what happened, but the next thing I knew, Connor was dead, and I was badly hurt. I swore never to go near one of those machines again. After I got better, I spent a few months looking for work, but it was impossible to find any jobs that didn't involve steam tech. Then I found out about Madame Dupre. Working at her home seemed like an improvement. I had a decent bed to sleep in, the work was not difficult, and I even made friends with her daughter. But Madame Dupre soon showed her true nature.
Tell me about Celine.
Oh, my dear Celine. She was the most beautiful thing I ever saw. We were going to get married, you know. Then that devil killed her. She beat her to death in front of me. I was powerless to do anything. Please, Mr. Fordham, I don't want to remember. Let us speak of something else.
Do you know Albert Martin?
No. Who is that?
He's Juliet's lover, falsely accused of the crime you committed.
I had no idea.
Are you going to let an innocent man die because of what you did?
No, of course not. I suppose things got out of hand. It was not my intention for someone else to take the blame for my actions.
So why did you attack Madame Dupre in the way you did?
I knew that if I went to her home and killed her, I would be caught and thrown in jail. I needed to find a way to do it quietly and not make anyone suspicious. Also, I wanted her to suffer for what she did to my Celine. I had read about toxic plants in Juliet's schoolbooks, and I knew a bit about them from working as a gardener. So I decided to poison Dupre and make her appear dead so she could be buried alive and suffer the same way she made us when she would lock us away in her secret room.
Did you say secret room?
Yes, Mr. Fordham. It was no bigger than a coffin. She would place us inside if she was especially mad at us, with no food or water, sometimes for days at a time. We couldn't scream because she would stuff our mouths. She would also plug our ears and cover our faces.
How often did she put you in there?
Only a few times, but that was more than enough. I'd rather not think about it.
So you have no idea where it is?
None. I only remember Madame Dupre would say the same thing any time she was about to put someone in there. A perfect servant must behave. I've told you everything, Mr. Fordham. Are you still going to arrest me?
I haven't quite decided yet, Mr. Dumas. If I can find this secret room, it would be enough to charge Madame Dupre with a crime. However, if you haven't been telling me the truth...
I have been, Mr. Fordham. I swear it. I'll even make you a deal. If you promise me you'll try to find the secret room, I won't leave this hotel.
All right, Dumas, it's a deal.
Well, at least now we can go straight to Upton and have him taken in. Unless you really do believe him about the secret room.
That's all for right now, but I'll be back.
Yes, Mr. Fordham. I'll be here.
A perfect servant must behave.
And now you'll taste an early grave. Me sofa, Ray. In the middle, see?
So long, Bertie.
Bye-bye.
I wonder why that didn't work. Maybe you should try one octave higher? That seems to have done something.
Dear God!
This does not look good. He's dead. You should inform Dr. Fellows about this right away.
It seems Guy was telling the truth after all.
Yes, it would probably be a good idea to let him know of this development.
Guy?
Yes?
I found the secret room you told me about.
You see? I wasn't lying.
No, you certainly weren't. There was someone inside, a man.
No. Who?
I'm not sure, but I can only assume it was one of Madame Dupre's servants.
Was he all right?
I'm afraid not. He was dead. Dr. Fellows confirmed it was due to asphyxiation.
Madame Dupre must have put him in there before I drugged her. And then, with everything that's happened, she didn't let him out in time. Oh my God, it's my fault he's dead. If only I had known.
The circumstances are quite unfortunate, Mr. Dumas. However, this has shed a new light on Madame Dupre and her cruel practices. I can't say for certain that you were justified in your actions, but I am a bit reluctant to say you were completely at fault. But the bottom fact is that Mr. Martin has been falsely accused of this crime. If I were to let you go, he would be punished in your place. Unless...
Yes?
I'm going to need you to write me a letter, Mr. Dumas.
Of course, Mr. Fordham. Anything to take care of this mess.
Good. Hopefully now this whole grim affair can be brought to an end. That's all for right now, but I'll be back.
Yes, Mr. Fordham. I'll be here.
Can we talk?
Go on, I'm listening.
I think I'm ready to wrap this case up.
Okay, who's your prime suspect?
Actually, I'm not ready to wrap things up yet.
Okay, just let me know when you are.
That's it, I think.
Then you'd better get back to it. Go.
It was Guy Dumas, a former servant at Dupre Manor. He used toxic plants to drug Madame Dupre so she appeared dead, which he learned about from her daughter's schoolbooks.
What was his motive?
Revenge. His lover was beaten to death, and he wanted Madame Dupre to suffer for it.
Fiendish. Nice work, Fordham. I'll pass along the information and we can make an arrest. I'm sure Mr. Martin will be relieved. And of course, I'll dip into the department's Good Samaritan Fund to get you proper compensation for your work. For now, go home to your wife. I'm sure I'll have something else for you to look into fairly soon.
Just a moment.
Guy Dumas?
Yes?
You're under arrest for the attempted murder of Madame Laura Dupre.
I suppose it was too much to expect Fordham to believe me.
What was that?
Nothing.
I recommend you remain silent until you're questioned at the station. Come with me.
Addie, I'm home. Addie?
She must still be. No.
You want...
I know.
You... If I...
Yeah.
Well, I...
Go.
I think it was Guy Dumas, a former servant at Dupre Manor. He used toxic plants to drug Madame Dupre so she appeared dead, which he learned about from her daughter's schoolbooks.
What was his motive?
That's the thing. I've learned that Madame Dupre is extremely cruel to her servants. She regularly beats them, and even has a secret room no bigger than a coffin where she places them as punishment. I discovered this secret room and found a dead servant inside. He had died from asphyxiation.
My God.
A few months ago, Madame Dupre beat Guy's lover Celine to death. He wanted revenge and intended to make Madame Dupre suffer the trauma of being interred alive.
I see.
Constance, I don't think Dumas should be arrested for his crime. He doesn't deserve it. Madame Dupre, however...
Yes, I see what you're saying, and I agree, but what about Mr. Martin?
I got a signed confession from Mr. Dumas. You can see the handwriting matches this note I found in the cemetery. That should be enough to release Mr. Martin, as well as giving Guy a head start in his escape from the city.
It's going to be tricky getting the department to look into this, but with the proof you've gathered, it should work. Excellent investigating, Fordham. I knew you still had it in you. And of course, I'll dip into the department's Good Samaritan Fund to get you proper compensation for your work. For now, go home to your wife. I'm sure I'll have something else for you to look into fairly soon.
Good evening. I'm looking for Madame Laura Dupre.
This is Madame Dupre. I am her personal physician, Dr. Fellows. May we help you, officer?
I'm afraid I must place Madame Dupre under arrest.
What? On what charge?
Several, actually. Manslaughter, domestic violence, murder in the second degree. Shall I go on, or can we continue this at the police station?
You won't have to worry about Madame Dupre anymore. She'll be in jail for a very long time. And Mr. Martin has been released with a full pardon as well.
Thank you, Mr. Fordham. I appreciate your help and your trust.
Think nothing of it, but you'll need to leave town as soon as you can. Have you made plans?
I was thinking of heading south. New Britannia is too cold and dark. I want to find someplace more like my home.
Well, I wish you the best of luck, Mr. Dumas. Addie, I'm home. Addie?
She must still be out at her hairdressing appointment. I'm glad we're alone because I wanted to talk to you about something.
Yes, Bill, I know. I told you I'm doing my best to try and find the flower shop burglar.
No, for once, this isn't about him. This is about you.
You want to talk about me? What about me?
You can play dumb and deflect all you like with everyone else around you, but it won't work with me. I know exactly what you're thinking, and you know exactly what I'm going to say.
You want to talk about how we did on this case?
Yes, that's exactly right. Have you already forgotten the old days, Miles? Before I died, we were solving cases like nobody's business. You were one of the best detectives on the force. But ever since you started taking that soporific, your mind hasn't been as sharp as before. If you're serious about taking on more complex cases, you need to listen to Adelaide and stop taking it. It's already had a negative effect on your performance.
What are you talking about? We were able to discover the truth about Madame Dupre.
Yes, but if you were working at your full abilities, you'd have come to that conclusion much sooner.
If I stop taking it, you won't let me sleep through the night. Nothing will change.
Well, things would change if you found you-know-who.
I thought you said we weren't going to talk about that right now.
Yeah, well, I say a lot of things.
An understatement if ever there was one. Can't you just keep quiet without me having to take something?
Afraid not, old friend. That's just not who I am or how this works.
If you keep me up all night, I'll go crazy. Things have been hard enough as it is. And if, God forbid, Adelaide were ever to find out about...
Hello, Miles. Is there someone else here? I thought I heard you talking just now.
Fantastic. The jig is up. And here I thought we were doing so well, too.
No, there isn't anyone else here. I was just talking to myself.
You're not going crazy on me, are you, Miles?
No, of course not. Don't be ridiculous, Addie.
Just checking.
How was your appointment?
Mrs. Lefebvre was her usual bossy and overly picky self, but she gave me a very generous tip.
That's good.
So I stopped by the shop on the way home and bought a new deck of cards.
Excellent. Shall we have a few rounds of écarté? I believe you demanded a rematch last time we played.
Yes, that would be nice.
Well, you certainly managed to dodge that bullet. I only wonder how much longer you'll manage before one finally hits you.
And it says here they still don't know what caused that explosion.
I guarantee you it was sabotage. Those Redites have been causing a lot of trouble lately.
Is that the group of anti-steam tech radicals?
The very same.
Why Redites, though?
They're named after some fellow named Jonathan Red, apparently the one who began the whole anti-steam movement. It's really a rather stupid name, if you ask me. And uncreative, to boot.
Well, what would you call them, then?
Something more evocative, like the Boom Boom Boys.
Definitely gets to the point, I'll give you that. Perhaps you'd best stick with the detecting, dearest. Your nomenclature needs a bit of work.
Well, I think it's about time I get ready for bed.
All right, Miles, if you must.